Okay, so we've got the mold bending form. We got our center block, which goes right here. Should have just enough room to compensate for the thicknesses of those things, of the sides. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get these things sort of trimmed up, because right now they're just too darn big to fit in the mold. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a couple of make a couple of rough cuts here to get kind of an idea of where to trim. The ends up here, these areas can handle quite a bit. I put little notches, some clearance angles here, so I can have that extend a little bit if needed. I think which side is which. I guess it'll be whatever's pretty comes up top. I'm pretty sure you have become my top. And you've become the bottom one. Go this way. Because it appears the grain looks better on this one. I want the grain that looks the best up. They came out of the same board, so it's kind of silly to really get too picky, but I'm gonna anyway. So now we'll just mark a quick square-ish. It's not very square, just want to use the square to get a good idea of, cut off that much right there. And then we'll do the same on this one. I'm just taking, it's going to be a little shy of, about a 1/4 inch shy of that, what am I trying to say? It's shorter than the bottoming out, but still longer than necessary. It's going to get cut again. I just want a little bit of fudge room so I can move stuff around. So the next bit I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out a way to hold this so I can slice that off. I could probably, no, I can't get to it with the bandsaw because the horn is in the way. So yeah, we're going to do this with a handsaw somehow. We'll figure out the easiest way to grab a hold of this thing, and then we'll bring you back for that. I've just got a hold fast, barely holding it. It's just enough to keep it rigid. And I've just got a pull saw here. Just a simple Japanese pull saw. And I'm just going to take it gently until I get it to cut. That's not doing too bad. It's following the line nicely. Not a much tear out. Not really any tear out that bad. It won't really matter too much because here's where I got to slow down and focus. Yeah, that wasn't so bad. And it won't really matter because we're on the rough length game. So we can repeat that. That's a repeatable thing. But now this thing will fit down inside there as I need it to. That'll work. And we'll figure out roughly where center is here, and then we'll do another cut. So this one, do the exact same game here. Okay, so I'm going to just mark a quick line here, about a 1/4 inch past the center line, so I have a little bit of room to play around yet. Basically what I want to do is get this into the form, at least one side into the form, clamp it where it's going to go, and then make a for real mark to plane or to shoot up to or to cut towards. I'll do another real quick, not so square line here. And we'll mark that one in. This one is a little trickier to grab a hold of because not sure. Yeah, that'll grab it. All right. Yeah, it's not holding very well. We're going to need to come up with a better clamp. We'll do another hold fast. Maybe that'll do enough. We'll see if that does us any good. Yeah, it'll work. Almost through. There we go. Now this will go completely into it. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, now we'll get this one marked out the same way. I can clamp it in these two zones that need it. Grab some clamps and we'll show you the next steps here. Okay, so we have it, I just spared you the struggle of the clamps. I cut it too short down here. These should not be matching already or lined up or together. There should be an overlap, but it's also not very square because I was working on rough stock. So what I have here is I'm going to have to put a little binding strip down the center of that, which is, it's all right. I was hoping not to need it, but it's okay. It'll be all right, I guess. So what I'm going to do now is I got to work out, I need to get this down a little further, a little closer to flush here. And then I'm going to work this one down a little more. This over here. Been struggling with clamps, not struggling, but negotiating clamps. And then we'll, so the idea though, I think you'll be able to see this now, is we put the center block in. I still got the template on it. And we mush things around until it goes in. I'm going to get the pattern off of this, the template off of this first. I'll be right back. This is where my complete newbiness is going to show pretty well. Not knowing at all what I'm doing, it's definitely going to be obvious here. If it hasn't been already. Okay, now we've made sure the center block is below the surface. This means if I can figure out a way to hang on to it, I can probably flatten out one side. If I can just get this, it sits pretty flat actually. So it looks like they are all protruded past. So it doesn't make sense to do this until it's glued though. So what I'm going to do, not sure what I'm going to do just yet. So let me describe what's going on. Probably easier with a visual aid. So the sides have to go into this little corner here, this little curve. And they get in there, but there's a tiny little gap right up in here, up in this area. up in this area. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a tiny little gap up in these areas. And what I think I'm going to do, is I'm going to glue it to the bottom, to the mahogany down here, because that I can get centered, and the gluing is really decent, really easy to do. And then when it's dry, I'll pop it out and pinch those things. Try to pinch those things closed. There's a lot of glue in this one. Evenly distribute this glue with the brush. So this footage is kind of boring, but it's part of the process, so I'm probably going to keep some of it in at least. There we go. We've got a good glue joint, or at least a good gluing surface. I will say the template got us right in the right size range. I gotta sneeze. Okay, now let's try to get this in there without wiping all the glue off it. There we go. Got some glue. We're gonna drop this so it's at least square-ish. Right there, like that. And try to get some center lines here. There. Drop this down just a touch. There we go. Squeeze that together, and hopefully keep everything together right. Make sure it's very snug on both faces. Yeah, this side looks alright, short of the giant gaping gap that I made, but gaping gap, not just a gapping gap, a gaping gap. So, alright, I'm going to let that dry, and so the bottom is the only bit with the glue right now. I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to, after it's done, I'll pull it out, and I will do my best to clamp these together and try to pinch them in a way that gets that joint to look a little bit tighter. But for now, that side is holding well. We're going to do all right on that side. This edge is good, clean squeeze out on all around a little bit here, and that glue should hold pretty well. All right, so we'll come back to you when this glue is dry. I grant you this is a bit weird, but it seems to be working. That'll work out really well, actually. I'm kind of surprised. That got me one smooth side. Smooth-ish. It's not, jaggedy like the other side is. And it's proud of the center block, which is necessary for now. That came out surprisingly well. So I'm good with that. We'll go to the other side and do the other edge. process. That actually worked really well. Okay, so scream as you need to, because that was not orthodox by any means. that was the opposite of orthodox. But what I did see, what it did show me, is that I have very few gaps that are intolerable. No intolerable gaps. I have nothing but tolerable gaps at this point. So I'm happy. I'm very pleased with that particular outcome. So we're going to let that glue dry up now. And we've got a side we can send through on the drum sander, it looks like. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to try to repeat this cutting thing on the other side to get it close to the thickness, because there's a 3/8 of an inch extra on the bottom of that. So excuse me. So that's it. We're going to let that dry and we'll come back to you later. There we are, and so that looks really good. Very, very good. That's going to turn out nice. there you go. Super thin. These were marketed as the slim lines. 1/4 inch thick would be really thin, wouldn't it? Okay, we've pulled out the center block and sides with just the tail piece glued, and that glue joint is good. Definitely going to need to put a bit of binding in there, but that's all right. I'll deal with that when that time comes. So now we're looking to get these two pieces together. And what I've got is, I think if I can get the rubber bands around it, this is going to work out fine. Air compressor kind of scared me. 1 second. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I think this will do, is I'm going to spread a little glue on. I got to do a quick practice run here though to make sure that what I think I can do I can actually pull off. So we're going to try to get one side that actually glues. That joins up nicely. I think I might go with that one first because it's the easy one. Let's get that one in, glued, and then we'll work on the other side from that afterwards. Okay. I gotta figure out a third hand here. There we go. Hold it with my wrist. Hold it apart with my wrist, hopefully. Actually, you know what? That's the way to do it. We'll go this way. I'm going to set this on it like this, and rub it a little side to side. Now we can grab, I think I can get this to the moon, maybe. I'm going to go with a doubled up, maybe. Here we go. Try it this way. Perhaps. Like that. Let's go with these guys. gluing challenge situation here. Take this, like that. Really do it. Let's do the double. Pretty sure I can get a double to work here if I can just get it to stretch across right. There. Should have thought this through a little more clearly. Yeah, let's see if we can do it with those. Take some of these steel post deals that I used on the side bending. Right now, my finger is killing me. Alright, now we can get off my finger, and I can get on this one, off my hand. There we go. There we go. Got somewhere. Now, the trick is keeping them from sliding around. So what we've done is quick grip the seam. I'm going to do one at a time because it's important enough that I do it with sense and logic and care. So it's pretty well set. Okay, so I did a test off camera while I'm waiting for the sides on the waiting for the sides to glue up to the center block. I started trying routing out the F-holes, and this was the first, actually this is the second panel you saw glued up. This was one of the test panels. I held on to it so that I could do this very thing. And using a 1/4-inch spiral down cut bit with a guide collar that's a 1/2 inch, which gave me the 1/8 inch oversize on the template over there. This came out reasonably well, I think. Obviously there's some roundy areas, a little bit of roundedness in a couple of places because of how a 1/4-inch bit and a radius happens on things, but it's a minor, very minor thing to sharpen up these little corners, and I'm going to sharpen up the points here just a little bit. We'll get in there with some fine sandpaper, rasp, file, gently making some tweaks, but that gives me enough encouragement to do it for real on the keeper piece. But because it's a spiral down cut bit, It does tend to want to blow out on the bottom when it cuts through, and I'll show you that here actually. It doesn't really blow out. It didn't blow out too bad here. It just got a little fuzzy. You see how, yeah, there's some shrapnel and some fuzziness here. Didn't tear any of the grain out, didn't make any damage, but this was a test piece and I wasn't worried about that. This is the real piece, and for it I am worried about that. So I'm going to take the template, just roughly line it up with where the cut's going to be, with where it's going to be. I'm going to actually have to flip this over, but I just want to put a couple of marks here so that I can tape. What I basically am going to do is it's like a woodworking trick. You put some masking tape around where you're going to cut, and that helps kind of hold some of the grain together. So that's what we're going to do with this. So I'm just going to lay down a couple of layers of a single layer, just a couple of strips of tape around where the grain is, and we'll support that grain a little better so that when the bit punches through, it's not just shredding the grain badly. That gives me a little bit of security, a little sense of some security. Now the other piece here is the guitar body is bowed, right? It's bent deliberately so, almost a ½ inch up here from this surface to this surface. So we've got on our, the block, the form, or the template that we cut out before, the F-holes are 1/8 of an inch wider. All of the patterns, all of the template areas are 1/8 of an inch bigger than they need to be. So that means I'll have a template guide, but there's going to be a router sitting on here, and that means I have to support things. So with the belly of it, right about here is the highest spot, and right about out here is the lowest spot, and out here. Well, actually right here and here too. So with my locating holes, I've got a little scrap of ½ inch Baltic birch, just a half inch spacer is what I've got here. That's going to make up the gap on the spot where the dots are, or where the dowels go. But there's also a need, because we're sitting way out here. I'm going to pop these down just nicely. Okay, those are pretty flat. I'm going to put a hold fast on here. Put a hold fast on that side. And we'll just hold everything. This is going to keep everything held from sliding around while the router's going. But we got these little wings way out here that need to stay supported. So I've just got some more scraps of ½ inch to act as spacers here. And we'll put that underneath. And it seems friction does just fine for this, because it's not a lot of impact, and I'm not taking really deep cuts with this. I'm just barely piercing through. So the next step is some hearing protection, and we'll set up the router. So let's get that set for you. All right, so we're set up. We've got our router. We can move some stuff out of the way to lower the chance of stuff getting in the problem area. Okay, so I had a tiny little ding happen when I pulled it out of there a little early, but I think it'll be okay because I'll be shaping a little bit anyways. I might be able to hide that. But in the end, I think everything came out all right. We'll pop this out. And pull the spacers stayed put where I hoped they would. Pull the locating pins. Alright, so far so good. Pop off all the sawdust here. And let's get a gander at this thing, shall we? So far, other than that tiny, oh, it's such a tiny little bit too. You'll never even know it's there. Good. Alright, I'm quite pleased. The F-holes seem to have come out smashingly. So, F-holes are cut. Very cool. So I'm probably going to come in here and shape these just a tiny little bit with a small rasp to get these corners a bit sharper. Each of them, each set of corners just a bit sharper than they are. But I consider that kind of neat, huh? Starting to look, this is what guitars have, this stuff in them. Before this it was just a panel. Soon to be a guitar. Very neat. Alright. So, I'm going to go celebrate in the corner for a second. Came out really good. Okay, so, yeah, let's get the other side glued in next. Alright, I'm going to give the glue a little bit more time. So we're going to make some tight, sharp corners here. So there's obviously a couple areas where a round router bit right here and these two corners don't get real sharp and crisp. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take a one of these riffler file type things, and I'm gonna make them tight and square. So. That'll do. Nicely done. All right. I think it's time to get the control holes drilled, or at least marked for drilling. So I think we'll get set up to do that next. Okay. So we're all positioned. Everything's fine. That's where one hole goes. That's where the other hole goes. This is the switch hole. This is the other volume, this is the other tone, and that is the plug. Okay, we just put a bunch of dents in our really pretty wood. I hope they are in the right place. I'd be very, very upset if they wasn't. They is. Alright. Alright, so we have our electronics kit here, which looks to be kind of lined up, but not quite. There's some extra slack I'm gonna need. Interesting. Okay. Might have to move some stuff around a little bit here, but so we'll just take these apart. I want to take them apart so that I can make sure I definitely get the right sized holes for everything. It's going to be a little snug going for those two, I guess, but we'll see. So now, these are the hole sizes we need. So we need a 1/2 inch here. Boy, that gets real close, doesn't it? Yes, it do. Okay, and then the rest are 3/8. I'm going to get you set up in the drill press. We're going to drill pilot holes for each of these. All right, we are drilled. We threw down a little masking tape again to keep that that game of tear out to a minimum. Hopefully. That did alright. Not too bad on the tear out. Drilling, I could have used a Forstner bit, I guess, but drilling with a twist drill can kind of get a little messy sometimes, but it looks like everything held up beautifully in this case, which is perfectly fine with me. Kind of what I wanted to happen. So the other bit of this is I am hoping that the shaft on those potentiometers is long enough. Yeah, we're going to get these down to about 1/8 of an inch thickness, which is about what this is, I think. Yeah. So if we can get down to about 1/8 on all of these, that would be great. We'll see. We'll see how difficult that is to actually pull off. So, okay. Bring you back for getting that stuff in place. So we drilled out the back there so you can see the counterboard holes. They are just drilled out with a 3/4 inch Forstner bit. So I'm going to give this a game a little better shot now. I think, though, one of the things I've discovered is I am pretty sure that this pre-wired kit is not the ideal setup, because it's super thin. I should have gotten the pots that were longer, but also the holes, the distances are different than what I'm doing. And I don't know if that's because my plan has them in the wrong position, or if these are just too short because they're made for an SG. So we're gonna, I think we'll, actually no, we'll leave that on there. We'll just check that each of these actually fits through the hole and can be seated properly with their appropriate hardware here. That one, okay, so we just have to deepen that one. Excuse me. Yes, that one. Okay, so we can just apply a little more depth to this one here. I want to be careful we don't go too thin, structurally speaking. I don't know what this is going to do to the sound, but I think it's going to be all right. I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. Okay, so I keep saying about the distances between the pots is more than there was on this, and the ground line that's soldered to each of these things is restricting me from pulling them apart far enough. So I have a feeling the ground line, I have a feeling fishing all of this through the F hole is also going to be a complete and total pain in the ass. Yes, it is. So I have to decide something. God, that's going to be terrible. That will not be the least bit fun. Can I get you to come through this way? No. So we might as well do this practice now, because we're going to have to do this when it's together. And I would rather be sure now than possibly unsure later. So it's all a matter of figuring out what orientation the jigsaw puzzle needs to be to get it to go through. It appears that I'm not going to get the pot through this hole. So it's got to all go through that space. So this is interesting. This will be a very big challenge to try to get everything to find its way through. So that is already a problem. So what I'm going to do then is, first thing I'll do is, I think what I'll first do is I'm going to desolder this ground line, get them oriented the way they will need to be to go in. And I don't know, I might have to widen my F-holes a little bit to get this pot through. The pot itself won't even, may not even go through. This ground line where it is kind of annoying. So it might work if I can get it off the side of that thing. We'll see. But yeah, it's gonna be tricky, to say the least. So I'm gonna come back to this little mess. We're done with that clamp for the moment. I'm pretty sure this side is holding all right now. So we're gonna pop the rubber bandings off. Careful, that'll hurt you. All right, yep, that's holding good. And there's no big gaps that I'm too concerned about. This time, this one's gonna need a bit of fineness, or finesse as the French would say. So I can get there, but then I have to pull that shut. I think what I will do, nope, don't want to do that too much. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get some glue on that. With luck, I can get all the rubber bands. Ideally, I could get rubber bands on here that would hold things. I think I might very gently throw a clamp here so I can wrestle this thing around a little bit if I need to. Okay. Now at least I can shove this around. I'm not trying to hold it all together in one go. So I think we can get the rubber bands on. That is as solid as I can get. And I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be just fine. It's got all the help it can get, though. For sure. Okay. So we're going to set this. Ooh, We're going to set this here. Like this. And try to keep that closed. Looks like it's fine. And that looks fine. Okay. All right. So it's the body side, all the sides and the center block are glued together. And that's pretty good so far. We're gonna have it ready to go into box form tomorrow, probably. Maybe. Got to put the kerfing on. Got to sand it to thickness. Maybe Saturday. Merry Christmas. This concludes today. I think it's 4:30 and I'm getting kind of punchy. So that's ready to go, ready to dry. Just be ready to dry. And then the electronics, we'll work those out. The top looks really good still. The F-holes came out very successfully. I may have to enlarge them some. We'll see. Anyway, Merry Christmas. We'll catch you the next time I'm out.